I just returned from 2 weeks in a beautiful country. Ireland was calm and gentle and green, green, green. I invite you into the pages of my travel journal. I like to activate my journal and do a few pages before I actually leave on a trip. So I painted the cover solid white with gesso. And then when I came back, I decided to add the rolling hills. I'm not quite done. I think I'm going to get some text up here that just says Ireland or May of 2025. I found this map online and did this front spread before I went. I put this paper. I was expecting to see some green and gold. Little did I know, exactly how green and gold it was going to be. But I did the opening pages. I kept track of what I call my stupid shopping, all the stuff I buy before I went that I actually didn't need, some thoughts the week out before I went. And then I left this section blank so I could fill it in with the actual itinerary. As you know, plans change when you're on a big trip. So this is the first day that when we landed, and we were in Dublin and just had this beautiful walk around town. We had amazing weather. The other thing I do before I go is I often will put this stamp on just random pages, and I use that for the date. And sometimes I'll put the weather too, but it's a date stamp. And on some pages, I already pre-drew in my vignettes so that when I got to that page, I knew I was looking for just some small illustrations to go in those spaces. I had such fun with the maps because Ireland is just its own island and so beautiful, and we had fabulous weather, and we drove all the way from Dublin to the very northern tip, and then, as you'll see, we made the circle around the whole island. And immediately, all you see is incredible variations of green, 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 and sheep and flowers. The wildflowers were gorgeous. And here's that date stamp again. I sometimes will collect some ephemera to put down. This is with my portable printer. That was the car we rented. And here's the foursome just before we're ready to head off. And you'll just see so many pages of these rolling hills. It was just so gorgeous. And if any of you have seen the TV show Bad Sisters, it's filmed in Wicklow. And so we had to make a trip down to Wicklow. And here's more of the map. We then came down from Dublin along the coast, saw a lot of sheep, and found this crazy, crazy beach on the Copper Coast where there's just an ancient monolith right in the middle of the beach. And we climbed down to that. That was really cool. And here's a page for a note that somebody had left me in Cork. And we celebrated my friend's birthday, and then, just some things that were on the hotel grounds that was worth sketching. And more of the map as we made our way down to Kinsale. And this is that town that's just so charming. And along the way, we saw a roadside stand to buy fresh strawberries. They were the most incredible strawberries I've ever eaten. And oh yeah, here's some stone circle, prehistoric stones set in a circle, just out in a beautiful pastoral field. And then this is a place in Killarney where we went to have lunch. And you'll notice, maybe you can see down here, that this is actually done on a postcard. Sometimes when we're taking a day trip, whatever, I don't feel like carrying my backpack with all my supplies. So I just put a postcard in my very small shoulder bag or in my back pocket. And I did this sketch while we were waiting for lunch, and I just did it in pencil and took a photograph so that I could refer to the color and kind of the shape of the people that were there, so that then later on I went back and filled in with the ink and the color. And you'll notice also as I'm showing you that on a lot of pages I have this kind of thick and thin border line. I added that when I got home. It just felt like it unified everything, and I like putting a frame around some of these landscapes. This was the view out of our window at this crazy, fabulous hotel that I could do on site because it was just gorgeous and comfortable. Now this was a page I prepared before the trip, and actually I didn't like the bright colors next to that landscape. So I removed one page and put it on and attached it with some washi tape. And instead, I just did the sketch of the wild rhubarb, which grows all over the western coast, and wild garlic, which is really yummy and had ended up on some of my meals. And now we've come up to the West Coast and then gone from Killarney and had adventures on our way up to Galway, including the Cliffs of Moher, which were absolutely exquisite. We happened to be there on a clear day, which was wonderful. And there was a young woman sitting there playing the Irish fiddle. I couldn't sketch her on site, too many people, a lot of tourists, whatever, so I took a photo. It's a little stiff for me, but it mainly brings me back to the memory of hearing that music in that setting. The Burren Perfumery, a magical, magical spot way in the northwest of Ireland. And we just had such a lovely time there. And then this was the most amazing, was the Ireland School of Falconry at the Ashford Castle. A friend had recommended we plan to do this, even though it wasn't really on our radar. And it was an amazing experience. We all got to wear the glove and have a falcon actually walk with us and launch from our arms. That's the back of me. And that's one of those little photos. And you can see I like to extend the photo just to make it sort of fit in with my visual journal. But that falconry experience was awesome. And then this was done on site while our husbands were golfing. My friend Michelle and I were able to do some plein air work, which was super fun, just to have hours to sink into these incredible views. And they do have a lot of thatched roofs on these cottages and buildings all through Ireland. That was really fun. And then here's another postcard that I had stuck in my back pocket when we went to a pub in Galway. And so I had just done a quick sketch of these guys at the bar at the pub and then came back and added the pen and some color. But I like doing that as well, walking around with a postcard instead of my whole big book. And now here's a day in Galway that included a sheepdog demonstration with Rex, the amazing dog who herded all these sheep. And then when the sheep came in, we got to hold some of the lammy poos. And that was done from a photo. Michelle wasn't holding that sheep for very long, but that was done from a photo, mainly to just bring me back to that moment to remember. I'm not so worried about accuracy when I'm sketching like this. That was a little town where we had this crazy, fabulous lunch, and so I did a quick contour drawing of the lunch. Sometimes in my books I use an accordion page, but here I just did it right directly in. And then I thought this wasn't finished, but now I'm looking at it, I think I'll probably just leave it. This is yet more rolling hills with hedgerows and stone walls to divide up the pastures and these amazing mountain shapes. And it was the only day that was cloudy, which was actually kind of fun to be able to use Payne's gray in the sky. And the stone walls are gorgeous. And now we're in Galway and we went to the aquarium. And then our second to last day, we drove across the entire country. That only took a couple of hours. And we stayed for our last night in a hotel that's just a couple of, 20 minutes above Dublin, above the airport. And we didn't realize we were right on the beach. So that's a view from our room. And there were even palm trees there. That was crazy. And the next morning, our final morning in Dublin, the view out the window of the ocean had sparkles on it. So I did that, and then we went for a walk on the beach, and there was a guy riding a Clydesdale horse in and out of the waves. That was just wild. And you'll see that on a lot of pages I have my text with a color block, if you will. I just found that to zhuzh it up a little bit more, and that was really fun. A couple of pages I'm not finished with, but I did want to show you something that I had a lot of fun with. This is us at our Last Supper all together, and I'm going to do some more writing. But this was something that was really fun, is I kept a little graphic of each hotel room and needed to add that for the fifth one. But boy, does this bring me right back to remembering the exact room and the feelings of being in all those places. And then, of course, to end a book, I love a good list. So I kept a list of the people that I felt connected to. It could have been somebody random, like the two guys at Darcy's Pub that we talked to for a while, and some special meals, some highlights. The animals, we saw so many amazing animals in Ireland that I wasn't expecting. And mementos, things that I picked up that I particularly loved, and what I call yay clothes and nay clothes. Again, we were so lucky not to have rain, so I didn't really need the rain pants. And with this book, you get a little pocket, so I have some extra stuff there. And that's my Irish journal. Not quite finished, but close. I invite you to put any questions you have about travel journaling in the comments below and check out my other YouTube videos with other travel journals. If you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, check it out at jcmamet.net, and please like and subscribe below.